Hello, and welcome to episode 3 of The Sweet Spot of Life. Thank you for being here, truly, for coming back, for listening, and for walking this journey with me. Last week, we talked about that quiet feeling, that subtle nudge that something more is calling, that whisper that says, there's more for you. But today isn't about recognizing that feeling. It's about what happens after you admit it's there. Because awareness is powerful, but responding, that's where things shift. At some point, you have to stop analyzing the feeling and start responding to it. And sometimes, responding doesn't look like quitting your job. It doesn't look like launching something huge. Sometimes, it looks a little ridiculous. Like buying yourself a ticket to a ladies-only disco club when you don't know a single person that's going. That's what I did. I bought a ticket, no backup friend, no, just in case someone cancels, no safety net. I even booked myself a hotel room so I didn't have to drive and I could have a few drinks. And I remember having that moment before I left the hotel thinking, who do you think you are? This is crazy. Old me would have analysed this to death. Is that weird? What if it's awkward? What if I'm standing there alone? What if you leave early and feel silly? But something in me just said, go. So I went. I did stand there for about an hour by myself, looking around, hoping it would just hurry up and get started so I could blend into the crowd. So I was in a room with women that I had never met before. And within about an hour, I was dancing with strangers, laughing, drinking, talking like we'd known each other for years. I really have to thank them for taking me under their wing and letting me have a great time. And I really had the best night. Nothing dramatic happened. I didn't meet my soulmate, because I already have my soulmate. I didn't have some life-altering conversation, but something shifted. I proved to myself I didn't need certainty to move. I didn't need control to show up. I don't need someone beside me to validate that I belong somewhere. And that's what responding looks like sometimes. It's not always big and brave in a dramatic way. Sometimes it's just buying a ticket, going alone, letting yourself be seen in a new space, and realizing you're more capable than the voice in your head told you. And I've also realized recently, I spent a lot of time thinking about growth, talking about growth, reflecting on growth, pulling it apart from every angle. Why do I feel like this? Where is it coming from? Is it logical? Is it practical? And self-awareness is a beautiful thing, but awareness can also become a very comfortable hiding space. Because thinking feels productive. It feels like movement. But thinking isn't the same as moving. If I keep analysing the feeling, I'll keep having that feeling. So instead of asking, why do I feel like this? I've started asking, what am I going to do about it? Maybe the feeling isn't there to be solved. Maybe it isn't there to be followed. And once I admitted that, something changed. I don't feel confused anymore. I feel responsible. Responsible for responding to what I've already acknowledged. And here's the thing about responsibility. When you recognize something is calling you and you ignore it, it doesn't disappear. It lingers. We've already talked about that. It shows up as restlessness, as irritation, as comparison, as that subtle, is this it feeling? And sometimes we mislabel it. We think we're ungrateful, or just dramatic, or just in a mood. But what if it's not dissatisfaction? What if it's expansion, call it? Ignoring expansion doesn't create peace. It creates tension. Because deep down, you know. And once you know, you can't unknow it. Here's what challenged me the most. I don't think that I can think my way to my next level. And that's uncomfortable to admit. Because thinking is what I'm good at. Planning, reflecting, breaking things down, being self-aware. That feels intelligent. That feels controlled. But growth doesn't always respond to logic. Sometimes the tools that got you here won't take you to the place you're going next. And that's where many of us stall. We read books, we listen to podcasts, we journal, and we set intentions. And quietly wonder, why isn't anything shifting? Maybe it's not about mindset. Maybe it's not about pushing harder. Maybe it's not about productivity. Maybe it's deeper. Maybe it's nervous system. Maybe it's identity. Maybe it's old protection patterns we've outgrown, but we're still carrying them. I've started noticing something in myself. Every time I got close to taking action, booking something, committing to something, having a conversation, I would suddenly become very logical and very sensible, very, let's just think this thing through a little bit more, which sounds mature, but sometimes thinking it through was just me negotiating with fear. And fear's clever. It doesn't always shout, "Don't do it." It whispers, "Just wait. Just gather more information. Just be absolutely sure." And if you pride yourself on being thoughtful and responsible, then that argument wins. I remember recently sitting at my laptop, hovering over a confirm booking button for something I felt that felt aligned, but unfamiliar. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't life-altering, but it felt symbolic. And I could feel my body tighten. My brain immediately started listening to reasons to delay. Oh, maybe next month. Maybe when things calm down. Maybe I actually don't need this. And I caught myself. This isn't confusion. It's discomfort. So I clicked confirm. And nothing exploded. The sky didn't fall. My identity didn't collapse. But something shifted internally. I proved to myself that I could move while uncomfortable. And that's the muscle that we're building. Analysing feels wise. It feels safe. It feels like I'm not being impulsive. But sometimes analysing is just a socially acceptable way to avoid a task. It looks like wisdom, but feels like hesitation. And I had to admit something confronting. If I can explain something perfectly, but I'm not changing it, I'm not lacking awareness. I'm avoiding movement. And it's much nicer to say, I'm still processing, than to say, I'm scared. Here's where it deepened for me. You can mindset your way into productivity. You can mindset your way into achievement. But you can't always mindset your way into safety. If your nervous system doesn't feel safe expanding, it will quietly pull you back. You'll overthink. You'll procrastinate. You'll suddenly reorganize your pantry like it's a competitive sport. Growth feels unfamiliar. and unfamiliar can register as unsafe, even when it's positive. So responding isn't about bulldozing through fear. It's about gently expanding your capacity, letting your body realize this is new, but it's okay. That is very different from forcing yourself forward and hoping for the best. Realizing what isn't you anymore sounds beautiful in theory. In reality, it can feel like you're standing in your wardrobe thinking, I know this doesn't fit, but what if one day, when I lose 20 kilos, it might fit me then. We do that with identities too. I'm the strong one. I'm the reliable one. I'm the independent one. But strength evolves. Maybe strength now looks like softness. Maybe it looks like asking for help. Maybe it looks like slowing down. And if competence has been your comfort zone, that's humbling. There's a stage in growth that we don't talk about very much. It's not the breakdown or the breakthrough. It's the becoming. You're not who you were. You're not fully who you're becoming either. You'll notice you're outgrowing conversations. You notice your tolerance for what drains you is lower. I most certainly notice that in my day-to-day life. People that I normally would have put up with, and situations, not just people, I find now drain me, and I can't be a part of that situation. And you'll notice what triggers you differently. It's subtle. And this is where overanalyzing it is most tempting. Because thinking feels active, but responding requires movement. Not a leap, but a step. A conversation. A boundary. A boundary within yourself where you're not going to put yourself in that situation with those people or in that environment anymore. Booking a session for something with a therapist or a life coach or a massage, or going and trying something new. Trying that unfamiliar thing. Responding doesn't have to be loud. It just has to be intentional. And sometimes it's very unglamorous. It's not always journaling at sunrise with a green smoothie in your hand and doing yoga moves. It's sometimes, I've booked this appointment or I've booked this ticket. I feel slightly nauseous and scared, but proud. Sometimes it's, I said no to that and replayed it in my head for 3 days. But growth humbles you, especially if you like being competent. So in this space, where I've realised I can't think my way forward, I started exploring support differently. And that's where Heidi comes in. Heidi will be on our next episode, and I'll have her on, and she is absolutely amazing. Heidi works in life coaching and body-based healing in a grounded and practical way. Now, this is only one area of ways we could move forward and try to grow. And the coaching that she does, it's not hype. It's not manifest your dream overnight. It's embodied, it's honest, and it's real. Heidi's also the co-author of Words That Change the World, which speaks to the power of language and intention that aligns so beautifully with this conversation. But sometimes responding starts with changing the words you use. The words about yourself, about your limits, and about what you believe is possible. In next week's episode, we'll unpack what life coaching actually is and what it isn't, why your body can hold on to things your mind has already processed, how nervous system safety plays into growth, and how to move forward without blowing up your life. It'd be a grounded, very supportive conversation. And I think it's a conversation that many of us need while we are working through that's something that's calling us. Now look, I don't have all the answers, and I'm learning that I don't need certainty before movement. Certainty often comes after action. So this is me choosing to lean in. Not dramatically or recklessly, just intentionally. If you've been sitting with that quiet feeling, maybe the next step isn't clarity. Maybe it's courage. Not loud courage, but quiet courage. Sending the email, booking the call, having a conversation, resting without guilt. Small responses create big shifts. You don't have to leap. You just have to lean. So maybe this is the shift. From analysing to responding. Thank you for being here. Thank you for growing with me. I'll see you in a couple of weeks for a powerful conversation with Heidi, which you are going to love. She is absolutely amazing. Until then, stay open, stay grounded, and stay in your sweet spot.